everyone, and welcome back to Farmer Stephanie's Garden of Eden. I'm Farmer Stephanie, here to share with you what I know, sow, and grow in my garden. I know I had a little bit of a hiatus at the end of last year. I actually did record an August video, but I found out when I got to editing it that I had actually had an audio issue and none of the audio had recorded. And then by the time I got a new microphone, I had gotten busy with all kinds of work and life happenings. But I'm back and hopefully better than ever here in 2022. It's a brand new year here in the Garden of Eden, which means it's one of my favorite times of year, even if it is cold and dreary and there's not a lot going on outside. We've had a little bit of a mild winter so far, so I do have some kale that's still hanging on, and some of my garlic that I planted last fall is starting to peek through. I also have the last of my home canned sweet pepper mustard and some frozen pasta sauce and pesto left yet to enjoy. But that's not why I'm excited this time of year. This time of year, I'm excited about seeds. My 2022 seeds have arrived, and I can't wait to open them up and share with you what I picked out to grow this year and see what arrived as my free mystery seeds in my shipments. That's right, shipments. You may know from my January 2021 video that I try to limit myself to 5 new varieties of seeds each year. But really, in the end, it never turns out that way. I really shouldn't have purchased anything new this year because I got a bunch of new stuff on sale from M.I. Gardener at the end of the season last year. But I started looking at things for this year and I just couldn't help myself. I also made the mistake of placing my first order with Baker Creek before my seed catalogs actually came, thinking there were just a couple new things I wanted to grow this year. Then my seed catalog came and I couldn't help but look through it and find more things to grow, and so I had to place a second order. Let's check out what I picked out. This was the first order I placed, so let's open it up and see what I initially thought were the only new things I wanted to grow this year. And my first seed that I wanted to try to grow this year was lemongrass. Lemongrass is notoriously difficult to grow from seed, but I decided I wanted to try. It's difficult because it has fairly low germination rates, and most of the negative reviews I find for lemongrass seeds online are related to the germination rate. But what fun is gardening if you're not trying? So I'm going to try to grow this lemongrass this year, and I might even try to overwinter it. Typically, lemongrass is too fragile. It needs a nice warm growing temperature, and so it would never make it through the winter here in Michigan. But I might put this in a container or a pot and then try to bring it inside and keep it all year long. And so that's my plan for this lemongrass this year. My second new seed variety that I picked out is a lemon basil. Lemon basil is a basil that's bred specifically to have a citrusy type of a flavor. Last year I grew cardinal basil, which was a basil bred specifically for the flower blooms. And that cardinal basil made pretty good pesto, but I think this lemon basil is going to make fantastic pesto. And so I'm excited to try a new variety of basil this year. Every year I sort of have a theme of sort of a family of plants that I grow a fair number of new varieties of, and I think this year it might be basil. I think I want to start getting into maybe some of the more specialty basils. And so I'm really excited to try this lemon basil. Next we have lemon squash. This is a summer squash, and I have to admit I do not have a refined enough palate to really tell the difference in taste between a zucchini or a yellow squash or a patty pan squash, or probably this lemon squash either. But it's named lemon squash for its size and its yellow color like a lemon. And so the personal size nature and the term heavy yields in the description of this lemon squash made it too irresistible for me to pass up. Finally, the last new seed that I picked out in my initial shipment was a lemon drop watermelon. This lemon drop watermelon is a small personal-sized watermelon, and so the fact that it's a smaller size and has a shorter maturation time makes it perfect for my growing zone of 6A here in Southeast Michigan. I'm really hoping that this is a watermelon that I can grow here because most watermelon has too long of a growing season. It needs really long, hot growing seasons to really come to full maturity, and so I'm hoping that this one will be a good fit for my growing area. Plus, it features an all yellow rind and yellow flesh, which make it a fun variety of watermelon to grow. Also, the fact that it stays smaller means that I'll hopefully be able to grow it on a trellis vertically to save growing space, square footage in my garden, and I hopefully won't need too strong of a netting support underneath each fruit to keep it from falling off the vine. So I'm really hoping this will be a winner in my garden, and I can't wait to try it out. And my free seed variety from my first shipment is this Benihoshi Mizuna. Mizuna is sort of a Japanese mustard green type of a leafy green. I've never tried it before. I know people do say that it's delicious in some Asian style recipes, maybe pickled or sauteed, and so I'll have to try this out and see how it turns out. So this was my first seed shipment of what I thought that I wanted to grow. You might have noticed a theme here, and that theme being lemon. We have lemongrass, lemon basil, lemon squash, lemon drop watermelon. Really, the only thing that I was looking for initially was the lemongrass. But when I went to the website, I made the mistake of, instead of typing lemongrass, I only searched lemon, thinking, how many lemon things can there be? Well, you can see I found all kinds of new lemon things to try to grow. They were so irresistible to me. And they actually fit with a couple of the new varieties that I got from M.I. Gardener, a lemon drop pepper and a lemon habanero pepper. And so we'll see, it's kind of another theme along with the basil is the lemon theme. So we'll see how that goes this year. All right, let's check out my second seed shipment of the year, what I decided I just couldn't pass up after looking at the Baker Creek catalog. So this is my second shipment of seeds. I placed this maybe about a week after my first order, after I had a chance to look through the catalog. I'm excited to see what things I've picked out and are in this envelope, and I'm also excited to check out my second mystery seed packet. My biggest hope is that it's not the same Mizuna as I got from the first packet, although I can't complain about more free seeds either way. I'm just hoping for a little bit of variety. So let's check it out. This is my first seed that I picked out from the catalog. And in fact, this was the first seed that I saw in the catalog that I thought I wouldn't be able to pass up even if I wanted to. This is a Thai double blue butterfly pea. It's not a pea in the same traditional sense that a snap pea or a snow pea would be. It's actually a flower, and it's grown for its beautiful, gorgeous, deep blue flower blooms, which can actually be used to make butterfly pea tea. It's a blue drink that actually turns purple or pink when you acidify it by adding lemon juice. With my science background in my real world job and just the beautiful blue nature of these flowers, I couldn't pass it up. We have a trellis type of a support on our front porch, and I think that this is going to look really beautiful growing up that trellis support, and so I can't wait to try this out. I'm a little concerned because it's another seed that has a relatively low germination rate, and they don't send very many in a seed packet, maybe 10 or so, but I'm hoping that if I can get even just one plant to grow, I'll be able to save seed from this year and then grow it in subsequent years by starting extra seeds to have a better chance of some germinating. So we'll have to try out this butterfly pea and see how it turns out. My next seed variety is a yellow of Parma onion. I had decided last fall that I actually wanted to start growing onions. I've never grown onions before. They're usually fairly inexpensive to buy, and I don't cook with them all that often. I can buy a 3 or 5 pound bag of onions and it'll last me a month or two. But I've seen people growing onions and it just looks so fun harvesting those bulbs right from your own ground, your own garden. So I really decided I wanted to try onions. I actually bought onion seeds on clearance at a local big box store at the end of the season last year. And it wasn't until I got to actually looking at them over the winter that I realized they were short day onions. Short day onions are planted usually in late fall or early winter, and they grow over a mild winter, so usually in areas of the south where you don't really get hard freezes and frosts. And they mature over that mild winter, and they set bulb, they develop that bulb portion that ends up being the onion when the daylight reaches a length of maybe about 10 to 12 hours in mid to late spring. Here in Michigan, we get really hard frosts and freezes, and so short day onions I can't plant in fall and have them grow over that winter. Here in Michigan, I need to grow long day onions, which are onions that are planted towards the beginning or maybe maybe mid-spring, and they mature over later spring and early summer and set bulb and develop into those bulbs when the daylight reaches 14 or 16 hours in length. And so I needed some long day onions, and so I decided on these Yellow of Parma onion seeds. I picked these Yellow of Parma because they had good ratings and reviews for keeping ability, storage ability after their harvest, that they'll store for a long time in a cool, dark place. And so if I'm going to grow a bunch of onions, of course I want to be able to save them for eating all and using in my cooking all throughout the winter. So I'm going to try these Yellow of Parma onions. Next is a jigsaw pepper. This is a pepper that had a beautiful picture in the seed catalog. It's a pepper that's a small, spicy pepper. It's a deep purple, maybe a black, but its real hallmark is tricolor mottled leaves. Leaves that are white and green and purple and are just beautiful. It's also a shorter and stockier type of a pepper plant than maybe some other types of hot peppers or sweet peppers. And so my plan for these jigsaw peppers is to have them be edible ornamentals and maybe some hanging baskets or some containers around the yard. And so these jigsaw peppers are going to be maybe one of my new favorite pepper additions for the year. I also picked out some blot peppers. These are a sweet pepper. One of my biggest varieties of sweet pepper that I've been growing lately is a Giant Marconi. Giant Marconi is a hybrid, which means it's been specifically bred for certain characteristics, and it may not grow true from seed if I were to save seed. I'm going to plant the last of my Giant Marconi seed this year, and so I knew that in subsequent years I was going to need a new sweet pepper, and I really wanted something that was not a hybrid, something that was open pollinated or heirloom that I could save the seeds from. And so I decided on this blot pepper. It has this beautiful array of colors, yellow and orange and red and purple, making it a really interesting variety, and it's supposed to be an excellent tasting, thick-walled sweet pepper. And so I think it'll be perfect for using in salads, as fresh eating for snacks, and veggie trays. So I'm really excited about this blot pepper to try this out. It was actually out of stock when I placed my first order. I was considering getting it when I placed my first order, and I didn't because it was out of stock, and it didn't fit with my lemon theme, but it just so happened to be in stock when I placed my second order, and so I did purchase these blot peppers. I also ordered another basil. This is purple ball basil. It's a dwarf basil that's supposed to stay a little bit smaller. I've historically always grown basil, but again, a couple years ago I planted the last of my purple basil seeds, and I wasn't as into seed saving as I might have liked to have been, and so I didn't save any seeds from that purple basil that I grew previously. Last year I grew the cardinal basil, and I really missed my purple basil. Just for the fun, if I'm using fresh basil in an application, like an Alfredo or some type of maybe a pasta salad or something of that nature, I really like that purple color. It's fun, it's unique, it's interesting. So I decided on this purple ball basil. It's a new item for Baker Creek this year, so it didn't really have any reviews, but the fact that it stays smaller makes me think that this is going to be another great selection for things like hanging baskets and planters throughout the yard, or maybe in my front yard garden, where I sneak in some of my prettier edible ornamental plants. So this purple ball basil will be another new basil variety for me this year. And my second free seed variety is a Lavender Beauty Phlox. This is a flower. I've never grown phlox before. I don't really know a whole lot about it, but I do know that people use them as cut flowers. The purple color will probably go well with some of the other purple things that I intend to grow in my front yard garden, like the purple basil or the jigsaw pepper with those purple leaves. And so I'll have to try this phlox out and research it some more and see what other applications I might have for it in my garden. So I know I've said I'm excited about my seeds a lot. I'm excited to try the black pepper. I'm excited to try the lemon drop watermelon. And I think the reason that I get so excited about seeds is there's so much promise in the seeds in the beginning of a new year. Nothing's gone wrong yet. I've planned out everything I want, which hanging baskets I want my purple ball basil in, which ones I want the jigsaw pepper in, and nothing's gone wrong yet. Nothing's failed to germinate. I can grow as much lemongrass in my mind as I want, until I actually set out to do it. Nothing's been eaten by a groundhog or dug up by squirrels or infested with bugs or mold or disease. Everything is still this perfect dream of what could be in my garden for this year. Of course, it never turns out perfect, but that's half the fun and challenge of gardening, making little adjustments and tweaks each year in that quest for improvement and making my garden everything that I want it to be for my needs. Which really comes full circle back to seeds. One of the tweaks and adjustments to be made each year is maybe tweaking the variety of pepper that I grow. If I have a shorter growing season, maybe the pepper that I'm growing has too long of a growing season, and I need to tweak that. So finding those perfect seed varieties for my growing environment, for what types of applications I want them for my cooking or fresh eating, and maybe even just how I want my garden to look. And so even though these are all new varieties, I'm really excited for the tweaks and adjustments they're going to make to my garden in my quest to make my garden everything it can be and more. Other than getting really excited about all of my new seeds for the year, and picking some of that last kale that's left out there from last year's garden, there just isn't a whole lot else going on in January. I did reorganize all of my seeds into my seed binders because my trusty seed box was running out of room. It was a fun winter project, and it's going to make it a lot easier for me to flip through and look at all my seeds, see what I have, what I might need more of, what I want to grow for the year. And so that was a fun little project. And I also got my whole seed starting area cleaned out and organized and ready to go for starting seeds this February. I'm probably going to start growing onions, maybe some of my longer growing herbs or slow germinating plants like some hot peppers. And so make sure that you like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos like that seed starting video in February. And I appreciate you spending your time here sharing in my excitement about new seeds. Bye for now.